Hello. My name is Dustina. This is Spiritual Boujee Astrology, and we're going to take a deeper look at the full moon in Scorpio. Now, whenever it comes to this vibration, there's a lot of people that there's going to be some emotional insecurities, little triggers being brought to the surface. As a collective, there has been a dynamic power shift. And for some people, that shift that has happened, it is going to build them up. It is going to build up new security. It's going to build up new power. It's going to build up new confidence. For other people, it's quite the opposite. And it is a shake of the system to make you recognize what you need to work on to build up your confidence, to build up the vibration, to not feel so worn down, so triggered, so traumatized, so pulled back into the past. There's a reason for certain things to come to the surface emotionally, because when it comes down to it, the moon does not like being in Scorpio. It's said to be in its fall in Scorpio. The deep-seated emotions, the triggers that can come through. But a lot of the triggers are based off of the recent dynamics, the recent shifts, the recent changes. We've all had some kind of change over the last 9, 10 months. You can't tell me that you haven't. And as we go through this vibration, it's solidifying in so many ways that things that are below the surface that need to be released, that need to be let go of, there can be some kind of news, some kind of information, some type of communication, some type of conversation, something that triggers a past situation. Now, why am I saying that? Because when the full moon perfects, we are also going through a square between Pluto and Mercury. Now, this isn't the first major aspect to Pluto. We've had a couple of them just recently that has brought light to situations, but then Pluto turned retrograde. And we're going through this square now with Mercury that whatever is being communicated, whatever's being conversated about, whatever information is coming to the light, coming to the surface, whatever deep-seated fears are being brought up, it's something that we're meant to get over. We're meant to let go of. In a lot of ways, it has to do with letting go of the past. However, not everybody has the ability to let go. And in fact, for some people, when it comes down to the past, there's also that ripple effect of how it is going to enlighten us moving forward, impact us moving forward, empower us moving forward. And some of these are not all the same. There can be a disruption moving forward based off of what has shifted these last few weeks between that final Mars Pluto opposition, which that happened at the very end of April, kind of taking us into the 1st of May, as well as where we're at in this full moon. A lot of the last few weeks was solidifying something and how it is going to impact us moving forward. For some people, it can start off as a struggle. For some people, that struggle will only remain for so long, and then we will overcome. And as we get deeper into this year, there will be something that shifts that shows us why we struggled in the beginning. For other people, again, it is having to do with emotional insecurities from the past traumas, past situations, past frustrations that once certain things get said, it just brings it back to the surface. There's something that comes back up. There's something that hits our spine. There's something that just, ugh, what is that? Why did you say it that way? There's something about what you just did, what you just said, where we were just at. It reminded me of something from before. It reminded me of what happened. Running into that person at lunch today, it just reminded me of that old job, my old boss, that old boyfriend, that old girlfriend. It just, I don't know why it's shaking my spine so much, but it is. There's something there. And we have these little final triggers showing us something that we need to move away from, overcome, let go of. But in other ways, by allowing ourselves to overcome, to let go of, to no longer allow a certain struggle to engulf our senses, as this week progresses, there can be excitement. There can be things that are just very out of the box and out of the norm. There can be unexpected vibration that follows, that gives direction, that gives empowerment, that gives us more to look towards. Because one of the reasons we have to work through the past and work through the traumas and work through the triggers, one of the reasons we got to go through that is to make space and stop letting certain things weigh us down. Now, I got to be honest, when it came to this full moon vibration, the information and the stuff around it hit me well before the moon went into Scorpio. And I've seen both the mundane situations and the more collective situations simultaneously in regards, and when I'm saying collective now, I mean like the long game vibration of how something is shifting. And for some of us, the way we need to release the emotion is by working through where we are carrying it. Get on the floor, go for a walk. When I say get on the floor, I mean do some yoga, do some stretches, do your Pilates, go outside, do something to help pull yourself out of the funk. Don't allow yourself to sit and wallow. This isn't a good energy for that, because we move so quickly afterwards. Sitting and wallowing is just not in the vibration. We need to work it out. We need to overcome. We need to let go. We need to feel okay in our skin again and let certain things lie in the past. A lot of the energy whenever it comes to Scorpio, even though it's a fixed sign, there's duality to it. There's a topical layer to what Scorpio represents, and then there's the underbelly. And this sign having two rulers makes so much sense whenever you take into account the underbelly. There are certain things that have not been brought to the surface that can find ways of coming up. I've been feeling this way for a long time. I don't know if it's time for me to take this action. Some parts of me feels like if I take it that I'm going to regret it. Some parts of me are riddled with fear that if I make this decision now, I can't take it back. We have a fear of change so often. A fear of moving off on our own, stepping out into our own, taking our own power. There's so much of us that we struggle to being able to recognize that we deserve more, that we deserve better. And that can be one of the insecurities that starts to come through based off of this full moon. In the mundane sense, with the Mercury-Pluto square happening simultaneous, there is going to be conversations. There is going to be run-ins. There is going to be communication. There is going to be filings. The thing about Mercury is Mercury can represent a person, but it can also represent forms of transactions. And I don't necessarily mean this all in the mercantile debit card sense. I mean this in like the paperwork sense. I mean the filings. I mean the contracts. And one of the vibrations of last week going into this week was we had like a very big mental drive to get some things accomplished, to get some things negotiated, to get some things put together. And once we started going through those documents, now I'm sticking with mundane in just this moment. The documents, the facts, the figures, the receipts, the whatever we were going through, whatever we were talking about, whatever we were negotiating, it also brought insecurities to the surface. And some of us are going into this week feeling that level of insecurity, frustration within ourselves, frustration in certain situations, because so much of it has recently been on our mind. And a lot of us, as we go into this week, all of that documentation, all of what we were negotiating, all of that situation that we were trying to put together, signed, sealed, delivered, served. Go forward. Now, some of that will be a part of the new power dynamics for people. We had to fill out the application. We had to do the audit. We had to put some things together. We had to do the report. And some part of us, whatever we were going through, it just brought up frustration and triggers and insecurity. And it is so much easier to just be truthful about, hey, I've screwed up in the past. This happened. I didn't have control. Things went wrong. And accountability can be so huge in this variation of week, in this frustration, in this energy. Whatever gets completed in that report, whatever is completed in that filing, we just have to accept whatever the result is going to be, whatever the situation is going to be. For some people, that will work out well. If the documentation of what you've recently had to put together allows for certain types of emotional release of, yeah, that happened. Yeah, okay. Here's the honest truth. Here's everything I got. Here's everything that we did. Here's everything. By being honest and truthful in the report, in the filing, in the audit, in the conversation, in the verdict, in the negotiations, it is going to again feed into this energy of the new power dynamic that is solidifying this week. Release. In the immediate energy around the full moon, I feel like there is release. By the end of the week, I feel like there's a whole new vibration that kind of comes front and center for a lot of people. Others, what will follow will be judgment. It will be a decision. It will be a push towards a future determination for some, drive, ambition for others, desire, disruption. And I feel like the turn of this week, the solidification of this week, the concreteness that it will come together in a sort of way where we have to be truthful in a lot of ways, knowing that certain things are going to come to light, come to the surface, knowing that some of the things that get said by certain people are going to trigger us immensely. But what will follow will lead to a whole different dynamic. For some people, it will be a shock to the system. You're going to say something, you're going to get something off your chest and be like, oh my God, do you remember whenever this happened? And you're doing it all over again. And every time I turn around, you're just doing these things to trigger me and set me off. And the thing is like, you're looking at it from the other perspective, like, I didn't do any of these things. But if that's really what you think of me, maybe I shouldn't be here. Maybe we shouldn't be connected. Maybe we shouldn't be talking. And it's going to lead to a shocking vibration in the days that follow the full moon. And a lot of this is feeding more into extra layers of the weekly forecast, just as much as we're talking about the full moon. Expect insecurities being brought to the surface. Expect the emotional insecurity, the little triggers. Pluto is active. This is a full moon in Pluto sign. But by the end of the week, Mars is going to be more active. And some of what gets triggered in the full moon might lead to disruptions by the end of the week in the argumentative sense. Because again, Somebody can do something or say something in this full moon, not even realizing what they're triggering within you. I feel like the awareness of this week is just going to be so big for many of us. Okay. Anyways, if you have never seen a full moon or new moon video with me before, that is okay. I read everything from a whole house system. What does that mean? I don't care if your ascendant is at 2 degrees or 22 degrees, whatever zodiac sign your ascendant is in, that entire zodiac sign is your first house. And every numerical house that follows will be associated with the next zodiac sign. So, with that being said, we are going to start off with Aries and Aries risings. All right, my loves, this is a full moon in your 8th house. This is a financial house. There can be things that have to get paid off. Unexpected bills coming up to the surface, finding out your kid has racked up a credit card. Why am I saying it in that specific way? I'm looking at the fact that, again, this is a full moon in your 8th house. So financial, death, debt, taxes, inheritance, credit cards, payoffs, payouts, child support, anything that requires like funds and other people. But I'm also looking at the fact that Mars, your chart ruler, is in your 5th house of love and luck and joy and romance and happiness and children. Some of you are going to have a loved one that has suddenly racked up a bill or needs financial support in some way, needs some kind of investment. There can be an employee looking at the fact that Pluto, the other ruler of this full moon, is in your 11th house of friends and network and clients and colleagues. Suddenly they don't have the ability to pay a bill. That's like a really mundane situation. Like they've been, hiding from you. They've not been wanting to do certain things with you. They've been just kind of doing weird situations. And now certain things are starting to make a lot more sense as to whether you want to help or not. Just be aware that a lot of this energy speaks to financial shift, financial unexpected things. It can be a payoff. It can be a payout. Sometimes you get lucky. Mars in your 5th house can also have a big shift in regards to your luck. And there can be something that just kind of helps you based off of some of the work that you've done in the last few months and gives you a different level of security. And that can be a good thing. Oh, so much of this energy is a ripple effect of things that you've already been dealing with for a while. But in a lot of ways, some of this energy is going to force you to make some decisions that you have not been quick to make up until this point. Now, your first card that's coming out is this 2 of Swords. Now, the thing about the 2 of Swords is in the traditional deck, this is a blindfolded woman holding 2 swords, one in each hand. And she forbids to make a decision about which sword she wants to use. Some of us are blinded and reluctant to make certain decisions right now. And based off of whatever this financial impact is, given this 5 of Coins energy, the financial impact can literally be the thing that triggers you to make certain decisions. Because again, if you've been in a relationship, just going off this as an example, for a while, and come to find out your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whoever has been racking up a credit card bill, just going off of the most mundane example possible. And you get that bill and it's $20,000, $30,000, something stupid high. Some of us, it don't even have to be that high. Some of us, it could just be like $1,000. Be like, what is this? It can be the financial element that forces you to have to make a change. Now, some of you are going to not necessarily be going through the initial energy around finances. It's more along the lines of you're going new places and you're seeing what has changed in certain things going on in your surroundings. So we have this Knight of Wands energy followed by the 3 of Wands. As you're going into new directions, as you're looking into new things, as you're experiencing new things, as you're going back to places from your childhood, as you're going back to places where you've been before, but you're seeing just how much the surroundings have changed. 3 of Wands energy. I gotta be honest. The town that I live in Tulsa. I have had so many people in the recent events that they're like, oh yeah, I haven't been to Tulsa in like 10 years. I'm like, yeah, it ain't even the same. If you just said 5 years ago, I'm like, it ain't even the same. So some of us are going to find us like we're going certain places. Now I'm looking at the fact that Jupiter is in the third house, Saturn in the 12th house. Sometimes travel can be involved. You're going certain places and you're having to pay certain things out, the extra cost of whatever you're doing in regards to your travel, but you're also seeing just how much has changed in the surroundings once you land in those areas. So some people, you are doing some travel, and based off of like how much stuff has been going on in the 12th house, some of you the travel, some of you just had to do with treatments. Now we're going to start talking about the health stuff. Whatever's going on in regards to Aries risings and treatments, Neptune in the first, Venus now in the first, we've got a whole different layer of attention and support as to whatever is going on. And that long-term effect with a lot of Aries risings, I felt like this first wave of Neptune coming into your first, for some of you is going to be inspiration of what direction and everything you're going to go be doing next. For others, it has had to do with medical stuff, and it has had to do with treatments. Some of you might actually be feeling like we're actually getting somewhere different with our treatments, or we could be feeling like the first doctors didn't understand what you were going through. So it's like we've made a different selection in our treatments, with the idea of like doing something new or working with someone new. Ace of Coins can finally start to make you feel whole again, give you a little bit of stability for a while. Four of Wands energy. Four of Wands, like you want all four chair legs even on the ground before you put your ass on the seat. That before we don't want to fall on our face. We've got new things that are helping us here. We have new things helping us deal with our surroundings. We have new things that are trying to help us get some stability. And in a lot of ways, we can feel like a shift in our luck based off of the new things that are coming. Some of you, Venus in your first house, that it's been the attention of a partner, a new partner, a change in our partner, the attention of another person on you that's giving you confidence again. That's again helping you feel like you're stabilizing and it's shifting your luck. For some of you with Venus in your first, and the fact that Mercury, so the sun, and Uranus are all in your second house of money, you can also have some unexpected financial things that you have to end up like paying for this week. That goes beyond just the idea of like a hidden credit card, like I was kind of talking about in the beginning. But I want you to be very, very aware of your financials whenever it comes to this week. And if you are one of the people that are traveling, because I got quite a few Aries risings that you are traveling now. If you are in that travel boat, air tags in your luggage, make sure you have a good hold on your cards. Take extra precautions to make sure you are safe in this energy, because again, you don't necessarily understand everything that has changed in the surroundings, going back to this Three of Wands card. Okay. Moving along. For Taurus and Taurus risings, oh, my loves, my loves, my loves. This is a full moon in your seventh house of relationships and partnerships and legal matters. A partnership shift can be changing. Some of you can be making the decisions on who you want to work with moving forward. Some of you are waiting for some things to take shape and take place. We're waiting on something to come through. Some of us, we are feeling a little disconnected from certain people. With Venus being in your 12th house of the unknown, the unseen, and endings, you can be making certain decisions to not connect to people, to not work with people, to not do certain things with people. You want to make the space so that way you can focus on the new things. And a lot of you are being forced to make certain decisions, whether you like it or not, whenever it comes to this week. Now, for some of you, it can lead to some financial changes, whatever you are deciding on right now. For some of you, you're going to be frustrated with certain people in your life, especially whenever it comes to, mothers and fathers, certain members of the family, like being stuck in their ways and them not understanding what you're trying to put together, what you're trying to work on. And that's okay. It is not for everyone else to understand right now. The main thing is that you understand that what you're working on. Now, with the fact that Venus is still in that 12th house, a lot of you are still in this boat of you got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable because you're going into foreign territory. And a lot of you, by going into foreign territory, you're making agreements with certain people that you're not seeing clearly. You don't necessarily see eye to eye with. There will be some things that you're going to start to do. Either you've already been starting to do it over the last 2 weeks of April, or you're starting to do it now in May, that they're not going to stick all the way to the end of the year, because you all are not always going to see eye to eye in how things are going to move forward. That does not mean that you're not on the right path in this vibration. So we're going to start with this Queen of Wands energy. Now, again, with you guys having to deal with the fact that Venus is in your 12th, you have certain new things that are starting to come through in you, but are also instigating levels of healing, Venus in the 12th. Some of you are becoming very, very comfortable with having to end certain connections, either in relationship or with family. And again, it kind of speaks to that healing, but it also speaks to you making certain decisions to do the cutoffs. And for some of you, that's a struggle of decision to make. Many of you have struggled for weeks about if this is the right thing. Am I doing the right thing? I don't want to make the wrong decision. A lot of people are struggling in the decision, but by the end of the week, you can be shocking a lot of people, because this Sun-Uranus conjunction that's coming up is in your first house. It's in Taurus. So whenever it comes to that mindset and that level of vibration, you're meant to shock a few people right now. You're meant to take a few people out of, the equation. You're meant to show them a whole different path. And we have this Ace of Wands, knowing that not everybody is going to go with you in the path that you're going down. Emperor card. Some people will not agree with your new path. They're not going to agree with your new direction. That doesn't mean you're wrong. You are going into uncharted territory. You are doing something different. You are going to do something out of the box. You are doing something new and exciting. And you just have to trust the path that is unfolding in front of you, and know that some people will never understand change. I always look at it in the sense of like boomers versus Gen Z. It doesn't always work the same. The matters don't work the same. The values are not the same. But as you focus more on what you desire moving forward, where you are going to have the most success with this Ace of Coins energy, it is going to allow for certain new connections to come through in regards to your path, in regards to your passion. Yes, this is the Two of Cups, and it can be relationship stuff, but for a lot more people, I don't feel like it's a relationship situation. I feel like you are allowing certain connections that are more in the healing sense, partnerships that can be more in the healing sense, as you go into this uncharted territory. And more of you can realize some things that have been going on behind your back, Venus in the 12th. And it can, again, put you in certain situations where you have to make certain connections to cut some people off. I do feel like some of you are going to be in situations where you have no other choice but to cut some people off. And that's going to be a very shocking energy for them to deal with later this week. Let's be honest. Okay. Moving along. We're going to get to Geminis and Gemini risings. All right, my loves. This is a full moon in your 6th house of health, how you care for yourself, how you care for other people. It can have to do with pets, getting a new dog, getting a new cat, getting a new pig or a horse. Some of y'all got livestock. Some of you are having a shift in the workplace. That's a bigger thing. A shift in the workplace that's going to follow based off of how the rest of this week's energy is going to go. Now, this is going to be interesting because you have so many things going on in your 12th house. Mercury, your chart ruler, is in the 12th house. It's going through a square with Pluto. Later this week, we're going to have that Sun-Uranus conjunction in your 12th house. The other thing that's going to be happening is Saturn going to be at that 29-degree mark of your 10th house of career following the 6th house full moon. Some of you are going to no longer be committed to or connecting to certain things in your routine. This takes me to the work element, and you're going to go into kind of like a finalizing stage, a cutoff stage in a lot of different ways. So you guys are kind of in that uncharted territory, kind of similar to Taurus risings, but not completely, because Taurus risings have been dealing with stuff in their 12th house for ever. The eclipses, the retrogrades and all that, that was all in their 12th house. So a little bit different, but yet a little bit the same. The way you connect to certain groups of people are about to shift following this full moon. And there can be some insecurities and triggers, and you not necessarily feeling the most like yourself. So some of you are going to go into kind of a reclusive mode. You're going to be kind of fighting the funk for a little bit. And I want you to be prepared for that. When you're going through that funkiness, when you're going through that energy, it's more that you need to be a little bit more reclusive so you can handle whatever you need to for yourself and kind of allow for rest and relaxation and that rejuvenation for whenever Gemini season starts and the Gemini transits start up again. Now you are kind of getting into some new territory, and some of this can have to do with health, your health, the health of another person, especially if it has to do with a sibling or a father. There can be something tied to that. Aunts, uncles can also kind of fall into this territory. In-laws in that regard also. But there is something in regards to a stubbornness from other parties that kind of triggers, again, the need to step back, the need to not be so connected, the need to just kind of withdraw from certain people. And I feel like there is a completion energy for a lot of Gemini risings that's going to really come to the forefront if it hasn't been already. Some of you, it probably already has been, just kind of being in that funk of like, I don't know what's going on. I can feel certain things going on. We got this high priestess energy. Anytime that we have major 12th house transits, which the sun has been in the 12th house for a while, it makes you feel fatigued. It kind of brings your energy down. It makes you just kind of want to be like in the cave all the time. All I want to do is sit in my sweatpants, eat my bonbons, and watch my daytime TV. Leave me alone. And there is this internal energy that you can feel some things coming to the surface in so many ways with this high priestess card that is telling you what you need to do in regards to getting ready for your season, getting ready for whenever things start to come into your first house. And by the end of the month, there will be things in your first house. Your energy will pick back up after some time of rest, relaxation. The death card, this is kind of in this regard, I'm looking at it more in the sense of the recycle and going through the cocoon process to be able to come through as the new moth, the new version of yourself. Some of you need to withdraw, cut off. Look at these little heads on the ground. Yeah. Cut off certain people so that way a new form of you can come through. We have this Queen of Cups energy. And not everybody is going to be prepared for what you're going to be doing, for the decisions that are going to be made. Now, for some of you, you're not making the decision, and I'm not going to sugarcoat that. The next card is the Emperor card. After this full moon, for the next 2 weeks, we're going to be dealing with Saturn at 29 degrees of your 10th house. Now, that could be careers. That means that certain people are going to be dealing with bosses making cut off like decisions and layoffs kind of following. For other people, it's going to be like, I'm about to shift my responsibility into something new. So you better hire the replacement of whoever we're going to train. Now we got this 4 of coins so I can get them prepared because I'm leaving. I'm out of here. And your boss is probably not going to like that. I mean, what boss likes to find out, oh, hey, you have to do additional work because you made my life miserable. Now I'm gone. This 4 of coins energy feels like there's a level of preparation. Some of you have to do some preparation. Others, it's more along the lines of preparing other people. You're going to let people know what you need to let them know, but also playing your cards very, very close to your chest. Some of you might see the activities of a boss that, again, tells you to keep your cards really, really close to your chest. But there's a certain kind of truth and information that is going to follow over the course of like the next 2 weeks. So between now and the new moon in Gemini, which that really is 2 weeks away, certain information, certain truth, certain things that are going to come to light that are going to push things into the forefront. And the more things get pushed in the forefront, the more things are going to fall onto your plate. Now, what you need to be prepared for is the fact that whenever things are going through your 12th house, that means there's things that are going on that you're not privy to. And again, you might not become privy to until things start to move into your first house. So next week, the sun will move into Gemini. And then the week after that, both Mercury and the moon will move in almost simultaneously. So that really speaks to things falling onto your plate and you being forced to make some decisions. You're in this limbo vibration of wanting to be done needing time to heal, needing time to recoup before that next wave of vibration really picks up for you. This isn't the heaviest of full moons for you in regards to situations, but that doesn't mean that you can't emotionally be going through it and feel that need to like pull back from certain people, just to be clear. Okay, moving along. We're going to get to Cancers and Cancer rising. Now, this is a full moon in your fifth house of love, luck, joy, romance, happiness, children. Mars and Pluto are in your financial areas. Some of you might be dealing with some financial insecurities, whether you're making the right decision, whether you should be investing the money that you're investing, if you can work with certain people or not. That Mercury Pluto square is really interesting because we can be making decisions to move forward with something, knowing that certain people are not going to be in the partnership anymore. They're not going to be a part of the situation anymore. We're telling certain people, like, yeah, we can't do this. I can't do this with you. And that can have some frustration tied to it. But a lot of you have a new vision, a new goal as to how your career is going to go moving forward, how you want to succeed moving forward. And you don't necessarily care who that makes mad anymore, or at least you shouldn't. Whenever other people have made certain decisions about you, they haven't necessarily paid attention to how it was going to impact you. So again, why should you care about them? Now, that's going to be very, very frustrating. And some of the things that get said, some of the conversations that happen in this time can be very, very triggering for some people. And it can start to push you into a reclusive mode based off of how some of the conversations are going to go. Your cards are kind of combative and withdrawal. And considering after this full moon, we're going to start to move from Taurus transits to things moving into Gemini, which is going to be your 12th house. It tells me over the course of some of these conversations can be the first triggers of like withdrawal energy where you become a little bit more reclusive. You got the Hermit card. And I need you guys to be prepared for that. So there's going to be some tense conversations coming through. Now, all in all, a fifth house full moon should be a shift in your luck. And it really should be a positive shift. But there's going to be some people that they don't necessarily like the shift that you're making. And they don't support it. And because they don't support it, it has certain harsh conversations that are going to follow. But again, you have put so much energy into caring about what everybody else is doing and what everybody else is thinking. You know that if you were to look at it from their perspective, they would do the same thing that you were. Now, having certain conversations as to whether you need to face something or holding the mirror to other people going, in the past, when you've made certain decisions, you didn't give a shit of how it impacted me. Some people are not going to like that mirror vibration, and that Eight of Swords is kind of speaking to this. Some people are going to be accusatory of things like towards betrayal with the Three of Swords. Pluto is now in the 8th house, squaring Mercury in the 11th. There can also be little accusations from loved ones about affairs, about certain things that aren't necessarily financial, but more along the lines of like, you've been doing a lot of work with so-and-so, you've been doing a lot of this over here. And in your mind, you're like, yeah, I'm focused on making that bag, Queen of Coins energy. But for other people, they can be very stuck on certain insecurities. They can be stuck on certain things that feel like a betrayal, Three of Swords. And whenever you hold the mirror up, they're not going to like it. And that's this Eight of Swords energy. A lot of people are not willing to face the projection. They would rather just project their insecurities. But whenever you mirror back to them in the sense of like showing the reflection, if you were in my situation, would you also be working with other people? Would you also be doing the things to make this successful? Would you also be doing? And the final card you have is this Justice card. A lot of them are not going to necessarily say yes. Others will, but they will be reluctant about it. And again, they're going to be forced to face certain things that they don't want to face. There's a bit of a double standard in a lot of people's minds, and you're going to be kind of dealing with some double standards. And whenever you hear those certain conversations, have those certain triggered moments as to whether you're doing things that are self-serving, which you should be, Are you doing things that are self-serving to put new things in order for how you want the business to go, how you want the career to go? You're putting a lot of effort and a lot of work into exactly that, into the work, into this goal, into this direction. We're getting closer to Saturn moving into your 10th house of career. A lot of you are prepping for an arrival, and you're doing all of this work to make sure everything is in order. I'm going back to this Justice card. And there's a lot of people that they can't handle that you're putting your energy into something more self-serving right now versus the selfless side of you of being so complacent to help everyone else. And because you're starting to feel more confident again, you're starting to do more things for yourself in this way. Some people don't recognize you. They don't recognize the decisions that you're making. They don't recognize this version of you. They don't recognize the drive and the determination. They don't know what they don't know. And it's going to bring up certain insecurities. Now, this is a full moon in the 5th. For some of you, the insecurities are going to be around the kids. Well, I can't take care of the kids. You're supposed to take care of the kids. Why can't you take care of the kids? Why can't you put in some effort? Why can't you take them to school? Why can't you do this extra thing? Take them to football practice. I know it's not football season, but hear me out. Why can't you do this extra? Well, I just can't. They don't want to. And again, when you hold that mirror up about their version of accountability, they're not going to like the situation. They're not going to like whatever you tell them. And again, they're going to project a lot of insecurities onto you all. You're still doing the right thing. There can be insecurities around this full moon. There can be a lot of emotions in this full moon, but a lot of you are working towards shifting your luck into something major and bold and beneficial moving forward. Keep working on you, baby. You deserve whatever you're working on. You deserve to reach your goals. You've helped so many people in the past reach theirs. Why can't you have the same for yourself? Remember that you deserve the things that you're projecting towards, the things that you're working towards, the things that you are looking at. You deserve to reach certain milestones and potential. You might be spending a little money to make that money later on, but that doesn't mean that you're not doing the right thing, because you are. The long game for Cancer risings is we got a whole different direction in life that's coming through. And a lot of you are in preparation mode. And as you go through preparation mode, other people can't handle it. It is what it is. Let them pout. Okay, moving along. For Leos and Leo risings, you guys, how are you dealing with Mars in your first? I'm going to start with that one. One of the things that I have meditated on whenever it came to the Mars retrograde and everything for going on for so long is that if y'all let the energy grab you while Mars was going through Cancer, Mars now in your first can be your own undoing. And a lot of people are going to be realizing like the things that were going on behind your back, the things that people were saying behind your back, realizing there were certain people that you could not trust. But you're just now starting to realize it over the last few weeks of Mars being back in your first house. You weren't realizing it before, but there's a very big disruption for a lot of you now that Mars is in your first house. Now, this full moon is ruled by Mars. This is a full moon in your 4th house of home life, family, roots, ancestry, mothers, and matrons. The other ruler of this full moon is in your 7th house of relationships. Someone else might not have the same level of support for you moving forward in regards to home life, in regards to family, in regards to your position as a mother, in regards to how you've taken care of the kids. Like there's something here that is like very much impacting the home life. Now, some of you are going to be dealing with that layoff situation, kind of like what I talked about in the very beginning. Why am I saying that? Because Pluto is also squaring Mercury in your 10th house of career. The Sun-Uranus conjunction later this week is in your 10th house of career. And there's a lot of people involved in this full moon for you guys compared to some of the other signs. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of people. And there is going to be a lot of judgment, especially whenever it comes down to Leo risings and how they're doing things with and around their family. So I'm going to start off with this Empress card. Mars rules your fourth house of home, life, and family. There are certain members of your family that no longer wish to support you in your actions. That can be a good thing. That could be a negative thing. Some of you are going to lose certain financial support in the coming weeks. Why do I say that? Because I'm paying attention to the fact that Pluto is in Saturn's sign, and Saturn is about to hit that 29-degree mark of Pisces. There is going to be something that comes to a close over these next few weeks that, again, can impact the family for you guys. It can impact the home life. Now, some of you are going to have to deal with some layoffs. I mean that. I hate saying that. I don't want to say that. Or you're going to have to do a job transition because certain people that you've connected with, we can't connect with the same anymore. With Pluto in your seventh, the long-term vibration is the quality of person that you wish to be around, that you wish to connect with, that you wish to trust needs to be of higher value. If you allow low vibrational people into your spectrum, it will always come back to bite you in the ass. It's not going to always come up front. It's actually going to be slow energy every time. Knight of Coins. There would be some people we start to trust, some people we start to believe in, that we let some things kind of go on. This does not have to be romantic when I'm saying this next part, but we let some things go on, and we realize over time, over and over again, there will be this long-term pattern of, I shouldn't have trusted this person. I shouldn't have allowed them in. And some of you are going to be dealing with some level of vibration of, I shouldn't have allowed certain people in, because by allowing them in, now they've created disruption and now they've pissed me off. Mars in your first. Other things that you can deal with Mars in your first: a pickup in your energy, a pickup in your rage, a pickup in your aggression, very short-tempered, also very, very accident prone for a while. You're going to have sudden bruises all over, taking this from a Mars ruled person. Just where did this bruise come from? I don't even remember touching my leg, let alone like a massive bruise the size of my fist. Where did this even come from? Mars in your first will manifest in a multitude of ways. There can also be accusatory energy in this full moon. I don't necessarily like that, but I'm also looking at the fact that Mercury has that documentation vibration to it, the documentation, the legality stuff, and there can be accusations towards stuff, and this ends up impacting your goals, impacting your desires. This is the negative side. For other people, there's a new passion coming through. We have this Knight of Wands, we have the Queen, the Ace of Coins, and we have the Queen of Wands. For other people, Mars is lighting a fire under your ass. And just because somebody said, I can't play with this, I can't deal with this, I can't agree to this, I can't commit to this, that doesn't mean you're on the wrong path. And for some of you, Mars in your first is going to light a fire underneath you, that you need to make certain changes, that you need to start leveling something up, that you need to start connecting to people differently, because where you've had financial support in the past, you might not have it moving forward. And if that's going to be the case, you have to start really putting some things together, putting some things into motion. The Knight of Wands and the Queen of Wands, this is not sitting still energy. This is Mars energy. This is fire energy. This is passion energy. And for a lot of you, there is going to be a shift in your passion that is going to lead to some unexpected or exciting things immediately following this full moon. And what I'm paying attention to is the fact that we have that Sun-Uranus conjunction coming up. And that's going to include a square between Mercury and Mars in your first. That's going exact by the weekend. So where you could have weight and heaviness in the immediate energy around the full moon, by the end of the week, you can have a whole different turn of vibration that you weren't anticipating. For some people, it can all be connected. For other people, it's going to be one thing, then another. And you need to be prepared for both. Pay attention to the downloads, pay attention to the energy, pay attention to what you're feeling and what you're tuning into, because that's going to give you a glimpse. But some of you are going to be going down a new path and a new passion because you can't deal with certain people anymore. That means we got a job transfer. That means we're doing a job change. For some of you, there is going to be a layoff. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. There's going to be some difficulties, but also things that lead to lighting a fire underneath you and put you down that new path, that new passion, and the new power dynamic moving forward. So be aware of that. Okay. Moving along, moving along, moving along. We're going to get to Virgos and Virgo risings. Okay, my loves. This is not a heavy place for you. It's a full moon in the third house. That's communication, short distance travel, marketing, branding. Whenever I think of communications, I think of the marketing and the branding. Some of you might actually have to do with travel right here because we're looking at the fact that it's a full moon in your third, but your chart ruler, Mercury, is in the ninth house. Some of you guys are going somewhere. You're going into uncharted territory. One of the rulers of this full moon is in your 12th house of the unknown, the unseen, and endings. Some of you are going to have to travel somewhere to wrap up an agreement, wrap up a contract, wrap up a legal matter, wrap up a new avenue that is starting to come through that's recently been negotiated. Why am I saying it this way? Because after this full moon perfects, the rest of the month is going to be Saturn in 29 degrees of Pisces, the end of Pisces, wrapping something up so something new can start to develop, so something new can start to happen. And for a lot of you, that means trusting some things, trusting some people that you've never trusted before. Mars is in the 12th. Be aware of that. Now, the Sun-Uranus conjunction is not in a heavy place for you guys. That's also happening this week, so that's why I'm including it. The Mercury-Pluto square can just be like, hey, we're in this situation. We're meeting with you now because somebody else didn't do what they said they were going to do, especially if it goes back to the conversations of February. So now we're looking at a new partnership. Now we're looking at a new opportunity. Now we're looking at new options, new information, new contracts, new truth, new things that have in some ways almost appeared out of thin air. We're going to start with this Magician card. This is such a mercurial card. I like to also call this the MacGyver card because it's so much alchemy. Like, give me the toothpicks, the paper clip, and the rubber band, and we're going to disarm a bomb. Like, it's very much that type of vibration with this Magician card. There's something that it just feels like it's coming out of thin air, an opportunity that is coming through because somebody else didn't do what they say they were going to do. They didn't offer support, but that doesn't mean that it didn't help you in some way. We have this Page of Coins energy. Given the fact that we did have that final eclipse in your 8th house, Venus is now going to be leaving shadow in your 8th house. There's a lot of things that leads to the potential of new financial partners finally coming into place, finally taking shape, finally coming into notice. And again, there can be some new things that are coming through, new contracts that are coming through with this Ace of Swords. And given that your chart ruler, Mercury, is playing a big role in how this week ends up going, there is going to be new agreements, new conversations, new things that are going on that in some ways are going to take you into uncharted territory, but in other ways it is going to force you to make certain decisions to fully leave some things in the past. We have this Two of Wands card and we have the Seven of Swords. Now, let's be honest, the Seven of Swords is a betrayal card. It's a backstabbing card. It's a cheating card. Some of you are going to have to deal with exactly that: backstabbing, lies, cheating, fraud, deception type of things. If those types of things come to the forefront, it is going to be forcing you to go down a different path. Thing about the Two of Wands is like we've gone down one path for so long, then another path starts to alleviate itself. It starts to come to light. And we have to make a decision. Do we stay with what we know or do we look at the different opportunity? For so many people, the different opportunity, the new opportunity is what's going to allow for certain things to finally connect in ways that they weren't connecting before. Now we have the Two of Cups. Now, the Two of Cups is a lover's card. I'm not focused on lovers for you guys right now. I am focused on path, mindset, direction. Many of you are going to be having some things finally come together, finally make certain connections. It's not all going to be directly during the full moon. It's going to be over the course of these few days leading into it and these next few weeks afterwards. It is going to put some things into place over the course of the next month. For you guys, I want to say the next month. Because by the time we get into the later half of June, Mars is going to move into Virgo. And there's going to be a reason that we had to deal with some past things, finalize some old stuff, while also preparing for new things to come to light, new things that you will want to bring to the forefront, that you will want to debut, that you will want to be doing moving forward. And so much of this energy feels like letting go of the past, making a few things finally connect and happen, while also wrapping up one or two old things. It's very transitional energy for you guys, but it's long-term transitions. Given the placements, given the timeline, given the focus, long-term transitions are underway with you guys. New communication, new contracts, new agreements, new things coming into the forefront. And for a lot of you, it's taking you into uncharted territory. Or again, it's like finalizing. But when I say finalize, for some people, it's finalizing the new contracts. For other people, it's like finalizing the divorce. And again, it's going to allow for a new thing around you afterwards. So transitional energy for you guys, not meant to be very heavy, which is a good thing. Okay, moving along. We're going to get to Libras and Libra risings. Oh, you guys. This is a full moon in your second house of money, your assets. There's going to be something that's coming out of your pocket. We got money coming out of the wazoo. We've got extra expenses. We've got extra things coming out that we were not necessarily anticipating in some ways. And more than likely, it's not because of you making the decision. It's because somebody else has impacted the decision. Why am I saying that? This is a full moon in your second house of money, but your chart ruler, Venus, is in your seventh house of relationships and partnerships and other people. A legal situation in some ways can be impacting your pocketbook. A legal situation can be impacting the way certain people see you. Why am I saying that? Because Mars is back in your 11th house of friends. Mars, the ruler of your 7th house of relationships, is back in the 11th house of friends. The agreements that we have made, the legalities of certain things, is now starting to impact the way other people in the world see us. For a lot of this energy over the last few months with Libra risings, this shit's been public. For a lot of Libra risings, there's a public energy. And now the judgment of others, the awareness that others have, the awareness that you are focusing on when it comes to meeting with other people can lead to either allowing certain burdens to finally fall off, or it is going to lead to everything crumbling. It's a harsh energy in a lot of ways. In the immediate, the most mundane, it's very likely to have a financial impact. You guys have very, very heavy cards. You're going to hate me, I swear. But the cards talk on their own, I promise. You guys have very heavy cards. The thing about Libra risings is, I've said this before, I just haven't said it in the way that I'm about to say it right now. I feel like this Venus retrograde also connected to the last Venus retrograde. So the one that happened in July of 2023 also impacted the one that we just had here in 2025. It was July to August. Yes. July through all of August and into September of 2023. That Venus retrograde, I feel like, impacted this one because of Mars starting its retrograde in Leo, because the last one was in Leo. Now Venus is going into new areas of the sky. And I feel like there's been a long game around Libra risings about the way other people have kind of fed into the connections, fed into certain things, have now impacted the way that you literally see the world, but also how the world sees you. And there is judgment, Venus in the 7th. There's logistics, there's things being communicated, there's payouts of certain things, there's expenses in certain things. For some of you, it's going to have to do with like legal things around your children. For some of you, it is having to do with divorce. For some of you, it is having to do with like investments. It's having to do with insurance payouts. It's having to do with the estates. It's having to deal with child support. Like it's got like a big financial yet legal element for so many of you. Now, a lot of you, you've had to start taking care of certain family members, and that had to do with Venus, other half of this recent Venus retrograde in your 6th house of health. You've had to deal with certain family members, and now there's a legal aspect of like, okay, The power of attorney has to be signed. We have to start making sure all of your estate is up to date. And for some of you, the focus is the other people and all the legality around them. For some of you, it is having to do with contracts and partnerships and whether you've made the right connections based off of how everything has gone. But there's a public element to a lot of this for many of you. And no matter what, whatever we start stepping towards moving forward, there's going to be some people that are going to have regrets. They're going to feel like everything has gone wrong, as opposed to staying focused on what is still positive and what is still there. And that's that Five of Cups energy. Now, for some people, the judgment, Venus now back in the seventh house, doesn't have to be exact during this full moon, but Venus is going back into the seventh house. There is a judgment for a lot of you, and there is burdens being brought to the surface. And again, for some of you, certain things are going to crumble. We got this Tower card. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. We got the Tower card. We have the 10 of Wands. We have the 9 of Wands. Oh, and we have the 8 of Swords. This is not a fun vibration for you guys. Some of you are going to be having to face certain things that you did not want to face. Some of you are being forced to recognize certain things that you didn't think were even going to play out. You're going to have judgment from other people that you didn't realize was going to be so hard. But at the same time, there's going to be things that go into that contractual legal element that allows for certain burdens to be released. So that way, again, certain family members don't have to tie into it. Some of you are dealing with the family stuff. Some of you are dealing with the actual courtroom. Some of you are dealing with something else. And for a lot of people, it's either facing the facts that grandpa is going to die. It is facing the fact that you are going to have to pay the child support or something in regards to that legality there. And for some of you, that's going to help you recognize like certain burdens can be overturned, going back to this 10 of Wands energy. But even if you focus on like, okay, now I'm getting this payout in some way, somebody else is feeling slighted about the fact that you even needed the child support. I'm using this as an example. Some people are going to be slighted about the fact that things went in your direction. Some of you are going to be slighted by the fact that things went in someone else's direction. And you're going to feel the judgment. You're going to feel like other people are judging you. It's a very harsh energy with Libra risings. And again, it's not just the full moon. It is that long game energy that has brought us to this situation. And some of you are going to have to pay some things out to make things right. Some of you are going to have to deal with the fact that you're never going to be able to overcome the situation once the verdict comes through, once the judgment comes through. And the most thing I can say with you guys is you have to just harness in on your own personal strength and do your best in this vibration. And I feel like you have to do that until Venus gets out of Aries. Venus entered Aries at the beginning of February. Her retrograde did a lot of things. Y'all had to deal with a lot of drama and a lot of bullshit during that retrograde. Now Venus is back in her detriment. But she is also pushing and empowering something to come forward. And that will make more sense next week than it does this week. And your guys are not going to start to feel stabilized again, probably until Venus goes into Taurus. So there's a lot of frustrations and movements and actions and reactions and judgments and verdicts and tension, and in some ways lighting a fire under your ass, but in other ways you're lighting a fire under other people's ass and they're not dealing with it well. But it's exactly what needs to happen. And I got to remind you, Saturn is going to move into your seventh house at the end of May. This is going to probably play more of an effect once we get into June. But some of you are about to have to file some things and you know it. And the immediate energy is like, here's the check to the attorney. Here's the check to so-and-so. Here's the deposit. Here we go. Even if you're not doing something in this moment, but it's like putting the wheels in motion. And again, your strength is necessary. Your empowerment is necessary. Your desire to do certain things is necessary right now. Judgment aside. Some of you just have to deal with the judgment. It really kind of comes down to what we've been doing over the last 2 years since that last Venus retrograde. I don't normally say that the Venus retrogrades are connected, but with you guys, I have felt since the beginning the Venus retrogrades were connected. So that's since July of 2023. So there's that. There's a long game of vibration for you guys. Sorry for you. Okay, moving along. Oh, for Scorpios and Scorpio risings, babies, we are the problem. In some way, shape, or form, we are probably the problem. Let's be clear. All right. A full moon in our first house is a shift in awareness in our minds, our identities, our goals, our drive, our bodies, our mental health, our emotional health, our physical health. There's a lot of things shifting internally for Scorpio risings. And for some people, that's going to be an emotional shift. Some things can be brought to light, be triggered in this energy that just brings those things to the forefront. Now, for some of you, that means letting go of the past, letting go of fear, and letting go of so many things so you can focus on how you're connecting to other people differently and where you're going next in regards to your goals. Because again, Mars, one of the two rulers of this full moon, is in that 10th house of career. Our focus is where we're trying to achieve, what we're trying to accomplish, where we're going next, what we're doing moving forward. And so many of us, it's not just a game of passion, it is a game of goals and prestige and accomplishment. It is putting so many things into light. It's reaching both the familial goals as well as the professional goals all at once. And you would think I would be talking about an eclipse with something so powerful, but I'm not. I'm looking at now the condition of a new placement Mars covering new areas of the sky, and a retrograde Pluto. There are certain areas of the past, certain triggers of the past, they do not need to trigger us anymore. And some of us can be getting the news, the documentation, the serving, the communication that we don't need to be controlled by a certain fear anymore. And it's coming from the other side. Mercury square to Pluto speaks to that. Now we can be dealing with the most mundane sense. Pluto can have to do with plumbing, and Pluto in the fourth, it can have to do with plumbing. But in the bigger picture sense, there's a shift, an internal shift for Scorpio risings about how we're going to be handling things moving forward. And there's a lot of things that speaks to new information, new connections, new truth, new ideas, new commitments, new partnerships, new things in our routine, new things in our work, new things in our health, new. So much new. Leading into this full moon and following this full moon. And I want to say very clearly, for us, it's the entire lunar month. So it's this full moon until next month when the moon comes back into Scorpio, because both times the moon enter Scorpio, the one that just happened on Saturday, the 10th, and the one that will happen next month whenever the moon comes back into Scorpio. Both of them have made immediate oppositions to planets. The next one will include it too. So there's a plan in motion that's going to lead to bigger benefit in the long run. So the focus is the new for us right now. So we have the Ace of Cups. We have the Page of Wands. This can have to, again, do with the big picture, like goals and career sense, just as much as there can be new things in regards to the familiar sense. And there can be things tied to children with the Page of Coins. With the Page of Swords, there's no emotions here. It's the facts, the figures, the receipts, new information, new documentation, new contracts are coming to light. You might have to defend yourself in certain ways. Some of us are going to have to push an agenda mentally of like, this is my purpose, this is my focus, this is my sound. And that passion will get recognized, King of Wands, so quickly by the new people that are starting to see us, Seven of Wands. This is not all just in the full moon. I got to say that again. This entire lunar month. So this full moon to the next full moon, the full moon in Sag, it's happening in the middle of June. This entire lunar month is about speaking our passions, driving a force forward, and instigating new long-term connections, King of Coins. Long-term connections, fixed sign energy. All the fixed signs are very, very activated. We are pushing forward a lot of change. We are pushing people to their limits in a lot of ways. We are creating the shock wave for a lot of people. But we are also the drive. We are also dealing with our own desires, our own ambitions to achieve and overcome. And so many of us, as we get tuned into our passions, what comes afterwards is that commitment, the new long-term commitments. And I don't just mean this in the relationship sense yet. I feel like there's some that's going to be coming soon. But in this moment, that's not where our focus is. Our focus is the money. Our focus is the goals. Our focus is our drive. It is in our health. It is in our routine. It is in our goals. It is in our career. We are shifting our focus, and this full moon and the lunar month that follows really shifts that into play. It is going to take the entire month. Some of you are going to argue with me on this. I'm telling you now, it's going to take the entire month. Okay, moving along. Okay. For Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising. So what did we do? Okay, there goes. It didn't go on the next screen. Okay. Oh, this is a full moon in your 12th house. This is the unknown, the unseen, the past, insecurities, things that we didn't necessarily anticipated. Some of us are going to be blindsided by certain things in this energy. We can be very overwhelmed with discovering something that we were not privy to. Whenever it comes to our health, the health of another person, especially with the fact that we're still dealing with the fact that Jupiter, your chart ruler, is in that 7th house of relationships. Some of you are going to have to come to some kind of completion following this full moon. It's like a drive that, oh, right, I've got to get it done. I've got to get something done. I got to get something done. And it can be actually the most mundane thing, something around the house. And there's something about like getting that thing done around the house that just kind of makes you feel like a whole different level of security has kicked in. And that's going to be really odd in the moment. But there's like this drive of, I have to get something done based off the fact this is a full moon in the 12th. I need to heal. I need to deal with something. I need to get something done. I need to get something handled. I need to get something overcome. I need to do what I haven't done yet. And that becomes a major focus over the course of the next few weeks, even over the course of the entire next lunar month, if I need to deal with these things, because that's what's going to open yourself up for different opportunities, especially in regards to financial opportunities over the course of the summer. There's a few things, unfinished, either in the house, in your projects, something going on that we need to put a special amount of attention into. And it might be hard to do at first. We have this 9 of Swords energy. And you can find yourself being stuck in these situations of just like, I don't know how to move forward right now. It's almost like depression. And you can have something around this full moon that kind of triggers a level of depression. And sometimes the only way to get yourself out of the funk is to, again, find something to put that funky energy into and to get it done. So I'm comparing it like, to get yourself out of the funk, you need to repaint the room. To get yourself out of the funk, you need to go get some like junk furniture and completely redo it to get yourself out of the funk. We need to physically work through some of the emotions that are coming through so that way we don't stay stuck in these levels of mental prison. That's not going to be an easy thing to do. A lot of you are going to be forced to make certain decisions to get yourself out of the funk. Some of you are going to be blindsided by the decisions that you didn't even get a say-so into. And it's going to kind of shift your trajectory, shift the way that you think about things, shift the way that you're going to be connecting to people. Now, that might not be immediate in the full moon. It might actually take the next month to fully make sense. Lunar months, so I'm talking about full moon to full moon. And it's going to force you to make some certain decisions. Now, some of you are going to feel like, I'm not prepared to make these decisions. 4 of Swords energy. And again, you need some place to put your energy into to make it easier to get through some of that stuff. And now we have this Hierophant card. Some of you need to just work on some things around the house. We need to put emphasis on something. Some of you might be looking at something that needs to start around your children, and you're just sitting here going, I'm just not even prepared to start. But we have to start putting some things into motion. For others, it is like getting prepared for a loved one to move in, a family member to move in. And the initial energy is like, I don't want to do this, but no matter what you got to do, like it's tradition. The Hierophant card can speak to tradition. It's this level of responsibility, whether you like it or not, that's falling onto you. And you have to get prepared, whether you like it or not. Now, the next two cards are not so heavy. So we have the King of Coins and we have this Nine of Coins energy. By doing whatever mundane work you have to do, it helps you stay out of the funk, but it also helps you prepare for the connections that are about to start coming through. We have better connections that are going to start falling into place as we get into the latter half of May and June. And by working through the funk, it is going to allow for you to feel more accomplished, more energetic, more focused, more yourself. This Nine of Coins energy. I always look at this like this is a boss bitch card. This is like Princess of Coins versus Queen of Coins energy. She plows her own fields, sows her own seed, grows her own crops, sells them at the market, makes her own money. By working through the funk, by finding ways to put your energy elsewhere, it is going to allow for you to feel more accomplished when that new energy starts to shift, the new connections from other people that haven't come through quite yet. Now, again, I've got to mention the things that the Mercury-Pluto square can result in layoffs. And Mercury is in your sixth house of health, but it's also a health. It's not necessarily just a health house. It's a work house. It's your routine house, how you care for yourself and how you care for other people. There can be something that speaks to an ending, even if it's not yours directly. It's like you see the shock wave of other people getting impacted, and it instigates certain fears and insecurities. Again, you have something that's going to speak to you connecting to people differently moving forward. And there can be little things that impact the routine. The lightest thing that I can say that Sagittarius risings can do right now is looking at the idea of whether we should get a pet or not. And that could be something that really helps with your healing process, as well as starts building different things in regards to like how you connect with kids and your loved ones. But we need to put a different shift in our focus in where we're putting our energy to get through the funky stage and get prepared for the new people that are going to come through the latter half of this month and going into June. Okay, moving along. For Capricorns and Capricorn risings. All right, my loves, this is a full moon in your 11th house of friends and network and clients and colleagues and people that you surround yourself with and community. Mars, one of the rulers of this 11th house full moon, is in your 8th house of money and assets and debt and death and taxes and inheritance and payoffs and payouts. Pluto, the other ruler, is in your 2nd house of money, your assets. Some of you have not had the same type of financial energy that you desire, and we're looking at some other opportunity to kind of come through. And there can be new partnerships coming through or new opportunities coming through based off of a friend connection. Like, hey, we're hiring over here. Hey, there's this job opportunity over here. Hey, you can make a little bit of money if you want to come over here. That's a great idea. That's a great opportunity. And the fact that Mercury squaring Pluto in your 2nd house of money, it can be a shift in your luck. A positive shift in your luck. It can lead to excitement that's going to come forward later. Now, in the mundane sense, you could be having a child ask for something that you can't help them with. Like, babe, I ain't got the money right now. We can't do that right now. We can talk about it at another time. We can talk about it later. But at this moment, I don't have the ability to do that right now. And there's a lot of moving parts in this energy. But I will say, in the sense of the full moon, it's not the heaviest vibration for you guys. But it is speaking to shifts in regards to how you connect to people and your finances, first and foremost, because the two rulers of this full moon are in your 2nd and 8th house. We have a shift in the finances coming through. And we're getting more and more into new territory, stuff that we were trying to do all the way since last year, finally starting to fall into place. And there's a level of kind of success that can come through that. So we have the Six of Wands energy. Some of you have been waiting on certain people to finally pull the trigger or make decisions or come back around. And it's like, because they've been so stuck on what other thing that they're working on, that they haven't made a decision. And because we can't deal with the fact that they haven't made a decision, we have to start looking at another opportunity. We have to start looking at a new adventure, a new fact, a new offer, a new something, but there's no emotions tied to it with this Knight of Swords energy. Waiting on someone else to get their stuff together is not going to necessarily work out in our favor. So again, we have to take on new opportunities, new partnerships, and listen to your intuition. Listen to your heart's desire. Listen to the things that are kind of coming through, and realize sometimes the best thing for you to do is to walk away from certain situations, quit holding out for certain situations to happen. Because if you quit holding out, you're going to allow for a whole different level of connection to come through with this Lover's card. Some of you are going to have to walk away from the holdouts, walk away from the things that have been going so slow for so long. And you're going to have to look at new opportunities, new directions, new path, new ways of making money that you hadn't considered before. And because we're going down this new option, we're going down this new path, it's going to allow for a whole new set of things to start to come together and start to make sense. It's just going to take time for those things to lay out and come through. But there will be a relief that follows. And I would be very clear about the fact that after this full moon, whenever we get closer to that Sun-Uranus conjunction that's happening at the end of the week, the moon is going to be in Capricorn. So by the end of the week, many of you are going to have something get revealed that either you are helping with, or you are having to judge, or you are a part of in some way, whenever it comes to the level of excitement that's going to follow. So just be aware of that too. It doesn't feel heavy for you guys, but it does feel like there's going to be some unexpected things and unexpected opportunities by going down the different path, by looking at the different path, by looking at the different opportunity versus where we had things before. So there's that. All right, moving along. We're going to get to Aquarius and Aquarius risings. All right, my loves. This is a full moon in your 10th house of career, your goals for the future, your public image. Mars, the ruler of one of the rulers of this full moon, is in your 7th house of relationships and partnerships and legal matters. Pluto in your 1st house, now retrograde. You're not in charge of something anymore. You are letting something else take shape, something else fall into place, something else needs to work through. And by allowing for you to no longer have full control of a situation, it's allowing for something else to come into place, something else to take shape, something else to be seen. And it won't take long for that to be seen. Now, the thing about the 10th house is this can also be a house of father figures, and having something shift around father figures, around the family. I'm looking at the fact that the full moon is in the 10th, but one of the rulers is in the 10th, is in the 7th house of relationships. The sun, which rules your 7th house, is in the 4th house of home, life, and family. You don't have to do much this week. You have to let some things happen. Now, I will say, as we get to the end of the week, we get to that Sun-Uranus conjunction, you can feel that shock. You can feel that frustration. And it can result in some kind of legal situation. It can unfold in a courtroom later on, maybe not immediately in the moment, but it can be the thing that leads to additional judgment and leading to something coming to an end, coming to a close, whether certain people or like it or not. There are certain frustrations that are a long time coming. And what I want you guys to understand is, like, you don't really have to do anything. All you have to say is, I'm not going to do something. I'm not supporting it. I'm not a part of this. This happened on its own. something else is going to take shape. And not everybody is going to understand that until things really start to take shape. We're going to start with this Ace of Coins. We're also going to start with this Seven of Coins. Pluto turned retrograde a little bit over a week ago now, but it's in your first house. You are not doing certain things the same way. You are not going to support certain people the same way. You are not going to do something in particular the same way as you were before. And because of that, someone else is just going off on their own and they're going to go do something. The seeds are planted in a positive way or a negative way. By letting them go do some things on their own, you're giving the grace for some to take on a new path, to go down a new trajectory, to take on a new beginning, to take on new challenges and new ways of thinking. And it can be great for them and it can work out well. For others, though, you've planted the seeds for that stubborn energy to almost fall on their face. Now we got this Emperor card. This Emperor card came out with this Tower card, and this is why my tone is the way that it is. The upcoming Sun-Uranus conjunction, Uranus is one of your chart rulers, is in that fourth house of home life, and family. It will coincide with the fact that your other chart ruler, Saturn, is now at 29 degrees of Pisces. Something's going to come to a close. And I need you guys to be prepared for that shocking day of the year this time. Could be where you put the brakes on something or someone. You get blindsided by something or discover something that's been going on behind your back, but it ends up impacting you unexpectedly or impacting the family unexpectedly. And this Tower card, knowing that the Sun-Uranus is going to happen in your fourth house of home, I'm just going to go with that, home. The Tower card is one of the only cards in the deck that actually represents a structure. Something about this week can impact families. It can impact mothers and fathers. It doesn't always have to be your family directly. It could be the family of another person. And again, it falls onto your lap in some way. Now, for some of you, you might be exactly where you need to be. It is better to be lucky than smart. That's this Nine of Cups energy. You're going to be exactly where you need to be able to help in the situation. That's one way of looking at this. For others of you, it's going to be their luck that you're in the place that you're at to be able to help. For some of you, them doing something stupid, because sometimes it's going to be somebody else doing something stupid, is going to put luck on your side. It's going to shift the focus and shift the attention very, very quickly to something going in your way. And again, you're not going to have to lift a finger in a lot of ways. Pluto retrograde in your first, you don't need to help the situation. You don't need something to happen. You just need to let things be. Do your normal thing and let other people either go out and achieve on their own and just be, the golf clap afterwards. I'm so happy for you, baby. I'm so proud of you. Or with that Tower card vibration, you need to let some things happen and know that you're going to be dealing with the aftermath of whatever that Tower card situation is. And I really feel like with you guys, it's going to take more into effect whenever we hit that Sun-Uranus at the end of this week, more so than the immediate of the full moon, just to be clear. Okay. Moving along. For Pisces and Pisces risings, this is a full moon in your ninth house. Higher education, higher learning, travel. There's going to be a lot of things tied to travel. Talking to people from a long distance. It's a hell of a time to make a pen pal. Some of you are going to be dealing with institutions. The ninth house can also have to do with institutions. Now, when I see institutions, anything and everything that can be an institution, that can be a school, that can be a bank, that can be a prison. Institutions are institutions. But there's something that is already underway that is likely going to either impact the career of other people. It is going to impact the goals of other people. It is going to potentially impact the family, your direct family, your extended family, but there's something underway. And in a lot of ways, it has been the push of your judgment, of your decision-making that has put new things under consideration. It has brought new truths to light. It has brought new filings and documentation to light. You have pushed for something in the last few months. And now we're seeing the shift, the change of how this is going to work out. Now, for some of you, it's going to work out just fine. The thing about a full moon in the ninth house is it's not a heavy placement. It's really not. But the next full moon will be in your 10th house of career. So some of the filings of right now could end up impacting the directions, the goal, and the career. Some of the filings of right now can later end up impacting your finances very, very quickly. Some of the things that you've pushed to come forward is going to mean financial shifts in the long run too. Because what I'm looking at is the fact that Saturn in your first over these next 2 weeks is at 29 degrees. You're going to be on edge with a couple people in a couple situations. And it can kind of activate in this full moon about what we're done with, what can no longer continue, and where you want to start to see a shift in a focus moving forward, where you want judgment to be moving forward. And I'm looking at the fact that Saturn is laws, rules, agreements, boundaries, government. So this is why I'm saying judgment. You guys have pushed for something to happen. And the first card that you had come out was a Chariot card. Something is already in motion. It's been in motion for a while. Something is already coming through. Some of you, the institutions that you're dealing with, it's a bank. It's an auditor. It's a hospital. So some of you, whatever is coming through, the process is already happening. Energy is already at play. Energy is already in motion. And many of you are going to have to deal with certain things that you did not want to deal with before, whether that has to do with a family member, whether that has to do with your health, someone else's health. There's some things that are going to have to get faced. Some of you, you're forcing, especially your sisters with everything in the third house, you can be forcing your siblings to face, you could be forcing neighbors to face, you could be forcing certain people to face things that they have not wanted to face for a while. But the new information, Ace of Wands, is going to be very interesting as to like the agenda that's being overcome, that's being argued, the path, the mission. The Seven of Wands is a combative card, but it is a combative card with a purpose. I will fight for what's right. I will fight for what I know. I will fight for the truth. I will fight for what's real. There's a new bit of information that is going to fuel the passion, fuel the rage, fuel the tension, fuel the arguments, fuel whatever is going on, whatever is being talked about, whatever is being communicated. Now, the next two cards is going to be rather confusing. We have the Fool card and we have the Tower card simultaneously. These two side by side is very, very interesting because it tells me, knowing that we started with the Chariot, whatever is underway is going to tear some people up. Saturn in your first over the last 2 years, because it started in March of 2023, it has pushed a certain bit of responsibility onto you. And now that responsibility is turning into you pushing other people in ways that they're not used to you pushing. But your way of seeing something recognizes that there is a need to do something different and change. Now I'm looking at the condition of your two chart rulers. Jupiter is now in new areas of the sky, but wrapping up its trip through Gemini. Something has to come through the close, and Jupiter is in the fourth house of home, home life, and family. We're going to stick with homes for a minute. Neptune is in that new area of Aries, which speaks to new things. We have new things coming to light while other things are coming to a close. You are in a major transitional energy going through a ninth house full moon. There's direction, there's path, there's information of things that have been going on for quite some time, finally coming to light. And it's like this information proves that point that you didn't want to face. I told you that this is what was going on. You didn't want to listen. I told you that this is what's happening, but you didn't want to hear me out because you were mad at me for something I did 20 years ago that had nothing to do with right now. You just wanted to be mad, be mad. And now you got to deal with the fact that I was right. There's a long game vibration here for you guys. And it is going to put a lot of things into focus over the course of the summer. So some of the things that need to be communicated, some of the conversations with your siblings, some of the things that you have pushed to happen are going to turn results. And not everybody is going to like the results. And more than likely, a lot of you, you were right. Some of you are wrong. And you're not going to like how things come forward. And it really is going to come down to how these power dynamics continue and how the summer goes for a lot of you. Because what I'm also thinking about is whenever Mars goes into Virgo and what that's going to instigate for a lot of you. And the judgment. The long game is you're not going to know how soon you're right. You're not going to know how soon you'll be wrong. But the push that you've put into play, the push of this new information, the push of this new path, you were meant to push it for a reason. Hopefully you pushed for the right reasons and not just for the self-serving reasons, because that'll make the difference of the long game of this vibration. Just to be clear. Okay. I love and appreciate every single one of you. I will post these out as soon as possible. Of course, hit me up with questions, hit me up with concerns. If you want to book a reading, of course, go to the website, www.thespirituallyboujee.com. Click on the one-on-one consultations or whatever is going to work best for you. But I will talk to everybody very, very soon. Subscribe.